Hey, one and all, it's your pal Drew Dracy yet again. I just found some more comics from the Spinner Rack. I just had to share. I hadn't planned on doing another episode so soon, but I felt like it. So, Thor 237. Thor was really firing on all cylinders at this point. I mean, you had John Buscema and Joe Sinnott was inking quite a bit of it, and Sinnott was also inking Fantastic Four. He was doing 2 books a month. And there would be a rare occasion where maybe the FF would be inked by somebody else, like 1 or 2 issues. But I think with the beautiful John Buscema, there's a Gil Kane cover. I don't know who inked it, though. Could it be Romita? Maybe. So let's just get down to it. Ulick Unchained. How about that lettering for Unchained? That is friggin' amazing. And it's done courtesy of John Costanza, letterer, he's a lettered some books that I worked on back in the early 90s, I guess before he retired. Gary Conway did a lot of stuff in the 70s, and damn good. John Buscema, I should count how many issues he did of Thor. I like the waiter there, and she's like, mayhap I might have something. They Diet Coke. So Jane Foster's back in the picture. I've never really cared for her. And you know why? Because the whole Kirby run, she was just kind of a nurse in trouble, and it went on for so long. It's like the Invisible Girl. She got more and more independent, and some of the other characters. But later on, they sold me on Jane Foster in this era. But for the longest time, she was just like the person to get kidnapped. The God of Thunder Thor. The God of Thunder Thor. Come on. Check that out. Blowing those tires out. Really, really sweet stuff. And he does some pro wrestling moves on the thugs. They're really outmatched, but it's fun to see. So, love that great face there. And you have Ulick, such a great Kirby character. And Buscema really, he keeps that feeling. And meanwhile, Odin has amnesia, and he's made friends with this lady and this older fella, and it's a whole subplot, but it's pretty cool. Check this out, man. This is the highlight of the issue. Hercules is at an amusement park. He's eating cotton candy, and crunch, the Ferris wheel's breaking. By my soul, where these mortals never learn. But 'twould be petty justice, and noble Hercules is not a petty god. How about that? Dang. Boy, that's a beauty. Wow. Love it, love it, love it. So, let me get my scissors. No, I did that one episode. I nearly got... Oh, get this. Dean Mullaney, future publisher, co-publisher of Eclipse Comics in the 80s, and Peter Sanderson, who went on to have he with Mark Grunwald and Mike Carlin and Elliot Brown did the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. So it's kind of neat seeing fan letters from eventual comic pros. An army of trolls. And I'm not talking about the internet either. Such exciting stuff. Man, oh man, of Shevitz. That last panel. Ooh wee. Let me see, I gotta read this bottom. Conan 52, alone, the mightiest barbarian of all must face a god in the crypt. Sounds like every other issue. I'm just being a wise ass. Okay. Oh, when I saw this Twinkie ad, I thought that was just a really ugly old woman. I hate to say that, but it was Nitro, and he's ugly, and he's got long silver hair. Now, especially there, that's a very next to last panel they're eating. It looks like an old woman. And I don't know who did the cover. I can always look it up later, but it's not crucial. So, knock, knock. Ah, I love that. The girl is ours. So he has to obey what's going on. Now, I'm going to the present. Not the present. This is, 20 years later. I picked this up at Dave's Comics and Games. It's a 99-cent book late in the 90s, after the comic boom bust, and Marvel and DC were just scrambling around, and Marvel especially because they were going into bankruptcy. They tried, they did the, what do they call those Unlimited books. They had X-Men Unlimited, which was drawn by Chris Bachalo, and the cover had Cyclops in the snow, and it was magnificent. And then they did the FF Unlimited, and they did all these others. So they tried this for a while, Unplugged, and it was 99 cents instead of the $2 I think it was at the time. So I checked this out, and a lot of these were kind of inferior, to be frank. I think they were just trying to get more stuff on the stands. And but the cover by Jim Calafiore is really, really cool. I love the color choices on him. You don't see a lot of his painted stuff. He did Aquaman in the 90s. He started with the second year, and he stayed on for several years during Peter David's run. So let me go inside. You know what? I was thumbing through this, and when I saw Ben Grimm's face, I really prejudged it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be shitty. It looks, he's just a little overdone. But I took my time to read it, and I was wrong. I was wrong, baby. It's by Mike Lackey. He should work for Dr. Doom. He's probably heard that Lackey jokes a million times. And Adriana Mello pencils, Tim Dizon inker. Mike Rotwitz is doing the colors. He was an editor for a while in some books. I heard of Tim Dizon, he's been around for a long time, but these two here, especially Adriana, I'm surprised she didn't get more work, because you start off here, it's a little odd, but he's getting all pissed off because they're having a funeral for Reed Richards, who had died several months ago, and he's just like, oh, you're a bunch of vultures waiting to pick his bones clean. And he just has this really bad attitude. And Sue's like, he's been my husband for all these years, been my partner. He goes, no couple, we've been through things that no couple should have had to endure. And so he doesn't like that they're surrendering, that he's dead. But, they just wanted to get on with their life. So he looks like Godzilla there. But you know what? You look at everything else. Yeah, that face in that last panel, that's out of focus. That's beautiful. And, but, I think what happened is a lot of artists in the 90s who were on the periphery of doing monthly books, they got unfairly dumped when the 2000s came along. Come on, man. There. And everything's really, really sharp here. Like I said, I'm not big on that version of the thing, but, that didn't... he was doing a lot of that Salvo Sema slobber between the teeth, and it's really a solid read. I really recommend it. Look at that, jaw almost touches his brow. And, she has that Jim Lee kind of style. See, this is what threw me off when I almost wasn't going to read it, because it's like, come on, Ben. Even at your angriest, you never looked like that. But I love the jacket. It's like tweed or something like that. Really cool. And, yeah, see, it's like... But everything else is good. It's just, Ben's just a little too... he's misguided. Ooh, Prime and Spider-Man. Ooh, the Ultraverse. I actually bought some of the early Ultraverse stuff, and it was okay. I mean, some of the stuff was pretty good, but when Marvel bought the Ultraverse from Malibu Comics, The legend is that they had the best coloring techniques, real ahead of the time, computer colors. Well, that wasn't the case. What happened was the Ultraverse was actually taking a little bit of money out of the market, the comics market, because there's Marvel, DC, and then a bunch of these small indies. So they basically wanted to kill the competition. So they took them out so they'd be more ahead of DC than they had been already. So with that, it's kind of interesting. So, see more. But, it's a pinup by Paul Ryan. That was the Invisible Girl's woman's updated costume, but not the one that was all chopped up with her showing her, all kinds of, I don't know. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay. Kid Colt Outlaw. I just had to have this. This is a reprint that came out around 73 or so. And when Kid Colt was floundering, as well as some of the other gunslinging comics, they would bring in monsters, like Kirby monsters. And this one, though, is done by, it came out in 1962. Wow. I think because the monster comics were selling a lot better. And I don't know who did this. I wonder if it's Jack Keller or not. It looks too good to be Dick Ayers, but I could be wrong. If this is earlier Dick Ayers. But here he comes. It's not possible. So maybe it is Dick Ayers. Yeah, because Jack Keller stuff's like really super tight. He gave his life to save mine. And then we got Doom around the bend. Here's Jack Keller. Okay, that's where I got mixed up. Look at that, man. The tracks, the trestle. It's like, good God. So this came out in Kid Colt. That's 107. Let me get back here a second. And that's 107 as well, I guess. Yeah. Came out in 1974, March. Just a little bit before I got into comics. So, yeah, Jack Keller's really, really good at this stuff. I don't think I've ever seen him on superhero stuff. I've seen him on mystery stuff, like monster stuff. Here we got Dick Ayers, and it's also 107. And, horses are some of the hardest things to draw. Some of the hardest things to draw. One thing is children are hard to draw, proportionate. A lot of people draw them almost as like little skinny grown-ups with big lollipop heads. And horses are hard because their anatomy is so elaborate. And then what's the other thing I was thinking about? Well, wheelchairs. I mean, to do them justice, they're really tricky to draw. And I just know that because I worked on Birds of Prey, where Oracle was the eyes and the ears of the Batman universe, and she was wheelchair bound after the Joker crippled her in The Killing Joke, which everybody seems to love. And I'm like, that's a pretty sick story. He shot her. She couldn't stand anymore. Took her clothes off. Took pictures. Showed. I don't think it aged well. That's just me. This is not the actual Spider-Man annual. This is a replica I got a while back. Back in the 90s, there was a packet of like 12 comics that were all reprints of classic books from the 60s. I have like Amazing Fantasy 14, not the Spider-Man one. I have Submariner number 8. And it wasn't promoted or something. It was just a weird thing. It was like at some big department store at a mall. But Larry Lieber is drawn. And you know what? A Chaotic Consultant by Johnny Romita, who does the cleanup just to make sure everything is on model. Larry Lieber did this annual, and he did the next one with the Human Torch, and he's good. And I'm like, why didn't they give Larry more to do? I get the feeling that maybe he just wasn't big on superheroes at the time, but you wouldn't know. I mean, I don't think Stan would like. I think even though they're brothers, I think this is solid stuff. I think if Larry wanted to do more superhero stuff, Stan would be like, okay. That's a Ramita redraw face there. And there's a pain in the ass Aunt May. I like the double color there. That kind of stuff is cool. And, Larry's really bringing his A game. Rah. And I despise your green fez. It should be red. It should be red. That's Larry doing a little bit of Ditko body language. And then he meets the Red Skull in a smoking jacket. And it's green. He's got purple pants. And what happens is Spider-Man finds out his parents were spies and they died in the line of duty. And they were connected with the Red Skull. They were trying to undo some plans or something. But I've never liked that. I always thought that was a bit, I don't know. It's like, following the hero's path like his parents did. And what really sucked, I thought, was in the late 90s when they brought the parents back and there was all this confusion. And eventually you find out they were life model decoys. And it's like, of course you find out. And I just thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Because I don't have to give a reason. So there's Larry cribbing a little bit of Jack Kirby. But hey. So this is so fun. It just makes me cuckoo that Larry didn't do more Spider-Man stories other than this and the next. He did, however, in the early 80s or late 80s, he did the superhero strip. That's a little wonky, but I like it. I don't care. Day at the Daily Bugle. John is like a total nut. Imagine an athlete who has the powers of Spider-Man. Come on. Where it's at. And the map, too. And I love that. It took place in New York. What if he was drawn by other artists for other publications? Imagine if he looked like these. Who'd have known, right? But that's fun. That's terrific fun. And here's a backup story where Larry and Stan and John Romita are trying to come up with a plot. And it's zaniness. So, by Murray Severn, of course. Now, the last book was Captain America and the Falcon. Now, I've said this a billion times. I really hated Jack Kirby's 70s run of Captain America. I liked the Mad Bomb, like up to 200, but the second year I really didn't like. And the thing I didn't like the most was he went off in his corner and ignored the rest of the Marvel Universe. I mean, even a few mentions like of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, that was stuff that Archie Goodwin would ask to have in there, but you would never see Nick Fury, God forbid. So there was a after, but you know what? I love them now. I love those issues now. I mean, and also a lot of them were over my head too, because I mean, Kirby, he was in his 50s, going on 60, and he had a grown-up worldview, and now that I'm getting not too far from that, I get it. So after Kirby's last issue, 214, 215 was one of those album issues done by Roy Thomas and George Tuska. It was kind of rushed out, and it was history of Captain America truncated into one book. And then 216, this is so Bronze Age, 216 was a reprint of an old Strange Tales story where there was where Captain America appeared, and it turned out to be the Acrobat at the end, and it's a full-length story. And what's cool is, and a long time I didn't know this, it came out a couple months before Captain America showed up. The real one showed up in Avengers 4, and so that was pretty trippy. So now we got the first entrenched Marvel Universe issue, and I was thrilled with it. But like I said, I dig Kirby's, and I really consider Kirby's era totally separate from the then current angst-ridden stuff. This is Frank Giacoia over John Buscema. That's a Buscema pose, and you can tell by the folds in the clothes that these are that's Giacoia. And gee, I like his stuff. So Roy Thomas and Tom Glutt. Now, Tom Glutt took over on the Invaders after Roy Thomas left, and I'll never understand why Roy Thomas left, because the Invaders were his baby. I mean, it was all these Golden Age characters, and Don Glutt, he ended up doing like the last year of the Invaders, and not so good. John Buscema pencils, Pablo Marcos inks. I love Pablo Marcos inks. Here's Archie Goodwin, consulting editor, and Roy Thomas is the editor. So we get to what I consider the present. I mean, looking back now, I kind of pretend the Kirby issues were like in another universe, and they just came back to the Marvel Universe, but they don't know it, and like no time had elapsed. So, and to Kirby's credit, he kept the Falcon in the book, even though he didn't create him. He did a great job. So Steve's looking glum, and they do they go to the barber shop, which is a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters where the seats drop. That was a Jack Kirby thing way back when. And oh no, what's going on, Cap? Huh? What's going on? That's cool. And Buscema must have looked at Perez, which is weird because you'd think he wouldn't look at anybody so new, but that's a definite. Or maybe Pablo Marcos put it in there. Bob! Ooh, not Bob. Don't hit him. He's not such a bad guy. And Nick Fury shows up. And I love the body language on Fury, that last panel. He's like a man in charge. He's serious, but he's confident. So here's a Jack Davis ad. Legendary Mad Magazine artist who did tons of movie posters too. And really, really great stuff. So they're trying to catch people up. And they do mention the Night Flyer, which was the last 2 issues of Kirby's Cap. So, Star Wars J.R.R. tokens here. And here are those posters I mentioned before. Farrah Fawcett, John Travolta, Jamie something from Invisible Woman, Steve Austin, that's right, and Donnie and Marie. Ooh-wee. I was forced to watch Donnie and Marie when I'd be watching TV with my folks. So here comes the blue streak. Here comes Vamp. She has some belt that allows her to get strength from another person, and it's kind of dumb. But we get our first appearance ever of the Texas Twister, who later on would show up in the Fantastic Four issues where the FF were trapped in their own headquarters, and the Frightful Four were having auditions for the 4th member. And, he's a tornado dude. And here comes, not the Crusader, not Marvel Boy, although he calls himself Marvel Boy there, but he's not the same guy. He's Wendell Vaughn, we learned later on, when he becomes Quasar. So, this book probably, I know there's a lot of people looking for coming up with key issues and that, but this is the first appearance of the new, of Quasar and Texas Twister. So it's like, yeah, we want you in S.H.I.E.L.D. He's like, no. He's like, get out. And he gets Texas Twister before he gets him. A lot of fun going on there. pizzazz. You know what? I was such a comics dork. I was such a Marvel dork that I actually bought an issue or two of pizzazz, and it's only because the first cover had John Buscema Hulk, and he's standing next to Sean Cassidy of all people, and there were some humor books. And there was also a Star Wars strip that I don't know if it's ever been repeated, but you know, I didn't keep at it. I was just like, I was hoping it was more Marvel stuff, but it was like Dynamite magazine. They were trying to compete. Whammo! Beautiful action there. And this is just, you know, he's like, well, the Falcon can lead these guys. I can't think of a better guy. So, you know, he accepts it. And that's sort of how Captain Phil going to break away for a while. And it just becomes Captain America again. But Falcon comes back from time to time. So he calls Gal Sharon. And he comes across these thugs attacking this woman. And she's like, I was looking for you, Steve. What, you call me Steve Rogers? I know, just as I know you're really Captain America. And she gives him a smooch. And she's just totally, oh, well, there goes Sharon Carter. She's like, shit. So, one day in Newfoundland. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I've lowered my voice considerably because I used to talk to the microphone like that, and I was getting some complaints, but they were well-founded complaints. Also, you know, I'm taking more of my time reading these, sharing these, but again, I have to say this. I say this a lot, but there are thousands upon thousands, if not millions, of sites on YouTube that you could have watched, and you chose to watch mine, and that's the greatest. I just love sharing comics, and I don't pretend I know everything. So leave comments below if you could fill in any of the gaps that I may have missed. And because, you know, we're all comic fans here. I've been a comic fan since I don't know, a wee slip of a lad. So anyway, that's all I know for now. And everybody take care, and see ya.